By 1791, King Louis XVI was a monarch in name only. He lived inside the opulent Tuileries Palace, but he was tightly monitored day and night by revolutionary guards. Over the previous 2 years, the French Revolution had methodically stripped the crown of its absolute authority. The king was now a figurehead, forced to accept laws from a national assembly that effectively kept him under house arrest. This map illustrates the planned escape route. Louis decided to slip out of Paris under the cover of darkness and travel roughly 200 miles east to Montmédy, a royalist military stronghold where loyal troops were stationed. Reaching the army would allow him to negotiate a new constitution from a position of strength. However, if he were caught, his flight would provide his enemies with the evidence needed to label him a traitor to the nation. What was designed as a rapid, stealthy dash for the border was undermined by the king's own choices. The very methods he used to escape ultimately provided the political ammunition used to dismantle his throne. The night of June 20th began with a successful deception. Dressed as ordinary servants and a Russian governess, the royal family walked past their guards and exited Paris without raising an alarm. Their first major error happened just outside the city. Rather than splitting into fast, discreet carriages, the entire family boarded a single, oversized luxury coach, custom-built for the journey. This vehicle was heavily loaded with luggage and supplies, which slowed its progress significantly. Its size and striking yellow wheels made it an obvious target for curiosity in the villages they passed. Despite the danger, the royals did not act with the urgency of fugitives. They stopped the lumbering carriage multiple times, even pausing for a picnic in the countryside, as if they were on a summer vacation. Behind them, the discovery of their absence had already triggered a pursuit. General Lafayette dispatched riders at full speed with orders to alert the countryside and catch the fugitives before they reached the army. By prioritizing their comfort over a faster, lighter escape, the royal family surrendered the lead they had built during the first hours of darkness. This diagram charts their intended timeline against reality. Because of the heavy coach and stops, the royal family fell 5 hours behind schedule. That delay caused a breakdown. Loyal cavalry units assumed the escape failed. Facing peasant suspicion, commanders withdrew, leaving the king without escort. When the unescorted carriage finally reached the small town of Varennes late at night, a local postmaster named Jean-Baptiste Drouet was waiting. Drouet had never seen the king in person, but he recognized the passenger's profile by comparing it to the image stamped on common currency. Drouet alerted the local authorities, who rang the alarm bell and barricaded the bridge. The townspeople blocked the coach's path, effectively trapping the royal family in the center of the village. A detachment of loyal hussars eventually arrived. Their commander informed the king that his men could clear the street by force, providing a final chance to break for the border. Louis refused to give the order. He was unwilling to see his subjects killed to ensure his own safety, and instead chose to wait for representatives from the National Assembly to arrive. While this choice showed the king's pacifist nature, it also ended his last chance at military protection. In a moment that required a decisive move, he chose a path that led back to Paris. The journey back to the capital lasted 3 days. The carriage moved slowly through crowds of people who watched in silence, treating the returning king not as a sovereign, but as a prisoner. Before leaving, the king had left behind a manifesto rejecting the central reforms of the revolution. This document turned his flight into an act of desertion, confirming the public's fear that their monarch was an enemy of the state. Inside the National Assembly, the moderate faction could no longer justify the king's role in the government. The trust required for a constitutional monarchy had been broken beyond repair. This political vacuum allowed radical revolutionaries to gain support for an idea previously considered impossible: the total abolition of the monarchy in favor of a republic. The tension continued to build, eventually leading to a formal trial and the execution of Louis XVI in January 1793. The logistical failures on the road to Varennes did more than stop a carriage. They shattered the public image of the king as a father of his people. That loss of trust provided the opening for the Republic to emerge from the chaos of the revolution.